All right, screens. Let's do this. So Otto Hanson is the co-founder and CEO of TermScout and Screens. He hopes to build a world where people understand the contracts they're being asked to sign. That's not too much to ask, is it, Otto? I know you've been very mission oriented since you started, so I'll let you take the floor and talk about screens.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks for having me, Brian. Awesome presentation, Scott. Really cool platform that you're building. I'm glad I got to be a part of that one. And nice to meet everybody. I'm Otto Hanson, as Brian said, co-founder and CEO of TermScout and a new platform called Screens, a lawyer by training. And I like to poll the audience, but you'll have to just, answer this question silently since not everybody's on camera here, but just a question for you to ponder before we jump into this, which is a little bit of a personal question, but ask yourself for a moment, have you ever signed a contract without reading it? And as you think about that, you'll quickly realize that, of course, the answer is yes. For all of us, for every human on the planet, we are all in the business of signing contracts that we don't read, or if we have read them, that we don't fully understand. In fact, even some of the biggest businesses in the world, most of them don't have the capacity to properly review all of the contracts that they sign. And I'm sure we have a lot of lawyers in the audience. We know full well, doesn't matter if you read them, they are legally binding. These contracts, allocate risk, they give up, they codify our rights and obligations, our assets and liabilities. They are the backbone of the modern economy, the instruments of commerce that all of our businesses are built upon. And so I think most people who look at this odd reality that we live in quickly recognize and agree that what a broken system we live in to have these instruments that are the backbone of our businesses where we don't understand them, we don't know what's in them, we don't know what rights we've given up or what our obligations we've promised. And we're building a future, and I'll show the product in just a moment, but we're building a future. We envision a world where, as Brian said, people understand the contracts that they sign. And the way that we're doing that today is by creating a marketplace where attorneys with expertise in different types of contracts can share that expertise with all of our users. The big idea is, what if you could get an expert opinion on your contract in a fraction of the time that it takes to hire that expert in a one-to-one fashion and for a fraction of the cost? So let's see what that looks like today. And then I'm going to do something unconventional and actually show you guys where the product is going, a product mock-up for a feature that's coming out next week. You guys will get a sneak preview before it hits the release next week. So where we are today. Today, our customers open contracts in Microsoft Word, as is the norm, of course, and they go in and open up the Microsoft Word add-in, the Screens Word add-in. Now, a lot of our customers, most of our customers actually build their own playbooks within our platform, their own screens. They let their in-house experts build playbooks that let those experts essentially serve more clients faster by scaling their in-house expertise. But the part that gets me most excited is actually the community function. It's this open sourcing piece that actually Brian has played a small part in helping us get this off the ground, and a handful of HeyCounsel attorneys and collaborators have actually built some screens and published them, which is awesome. Today, imagine you got a data processing addendum. You can come in and see all of the screens that we have for DPAs. And you can see here that 3 different experts have created DPA screens. One checks for compliance with GDPR. This one checks for compliance with the Colorado Privacy Act. I'm going to go run this. And you're going to see within seconds, we're essentially going to get the opinion of this expert on this particular document. So what I mean by that is, what we lawyers do, as many of you know, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with this group, but like what most lawyers are doing when we're reviewing contracts is relatively formulaic. What's the facts pattern? This is the fact pattern, and what are the things that should or shouldn't be in the contract based on that fact pattern? That's a formula. That's an algorithm that we can codify into a playbook and deploy over and over again. So in this case, the creator of this screen said, well, I've got some standards that I think should be met for DPAs. In this case, the fact pattern he declared is, if you want your DPA to comply with Colorado's privacy law, okay? It lays out a number of things that DPAs should establish. So one of those things, according to this creator, is the contract must include the processing instructions to which the processor is bound. Okay, when you get this expert's opinion, we're going to use AI, of course, to scale the opinion, to test for the standards. So here you can see that the AI thinks the standard is met. Here's the source language that allows our users to independently audit the AI's work, right? To prove the veracity of the statement. You can go through and check any of these. Creators can ask questions too. A lot of the power of the platform is in standards. It's like, I think what users want to know is, what's your actual opinion on what should or should not be in this contract under this fact pattern, right? That's standards. But we also say, hey, maybe you don't have an opinion about what the answer is, but you think people should have some background data, et cetera. So you can pose questions in here. Whether you're using a screen or a playbook created by your own in-house legal team or one of the community ones, when a standard is not met, one of the exciting pieces is we'll fix it for you very, very easily with a click of the mouse. So this standard says the contract must allow a controller to choose whether the processor deletes or returns data at the end of the provision of services. If you see the reasoning here or the source language, you can see in this contract, the ABC company only offers to delete the data at the end of the engagement, doesn't provide the choice of return or deletion. So the AI correctly picked that up. It provides sound reasoning here. It's going to give me a red line, which I can audit again on the side here, decide if I like it. If I don't, I can customize the red line here by just giving a custom instruction, change this up, make it a little more aggressive, whatever kind of instruction you want to give. And if you like this, you can toggle track changes on or off as you see fit and apply those changes. One other feature that I'm really excited about is creators can leave guidance for users. So, a big part of what we're doing is saying, hey, how do you get the opinion of a creator? And here the creator said, this is my standard, but why? You might often want to know, you get their opinion on the contract, you get their feedback real time, very quickly today. But why? Why did this matter? So in this particular case, the creator said, hey, Colorado Revised Statute section 6.1.1305, whatever. Here's the citation to the law that I think is, proves that this is a requirement. This is not all playbooks are based on laws. A lot of the time it's a creator just saying, it's a lawyer usually creating these that says, hey, for NDAs, I think these standards should be met for commercial NDAs, whatever it is. But sometimes they are based on laws. DPAs in particular are often based on laws because DPAs are actually instruments generally designed to enable compliance with law or to comply with laws. So you've got a citation here that you could go double check the law if you wanted more details here. So with a couple of seconds, as you can see here, we were able to get essentially a second opinion on this DPA, right? In this actual example, this is a DPA that our lawyer provided to us to help us engage with customers in Europe. And a real world case study went in, actually used these different screens to kind of double check the work. But the really cool thing was, like, I got a second opinion in seconds, but there's another one. Fatima, who is part of the HeyCounsel community, actually went awesome lawyer. Shoot, I timed myself and I'm at 8 minutes. Second opinion from Fatima, really exciting. Am I at time, Brian?
You're good. You got 1 more minute. Go for it.
All right, I'm going to show you guys the feature then, the piece that I'm really excited about, because you got a sense for the big idea of like getting expert opinions on contracts really quick. Let me show you what we're launching next week, which is market data. So it's one thing to get an expert opinion, but it's another thing to contextualize that opinion with data about what's happening in the market. So next week, these are Figma designs of a feature that's going live next week. We're going to launch basically for community screens only. We're going to show you, when we give you the score on a particular screen or document, we're going to show you how that score compares to all the other scores of all the other documents that have been run against that screen. When we tell you that a standard is or is not met, we're also going to compare that to market and tell you whether it's off market. So in this case, you can see, all right, this standard is not met. Okay, you'll see something here. If that's off market, if usually this standard is met in this agreement type, you'll see that market data here. You'll have a little button you can click on that'll say, hey, this is off market because this standard passed in 78% of thousands of contracts that we've reviewed on this platform. And there will be thousands of contracts when we go live with this feature next week. we have a really awesome corpus of data to pull from here as a company. So we'll be able to provide a lot of really cool market context. Super excited about it. I'll pause there for questions.
Whoops, that's amazing. Thanks so much. I cannot. I'm really excited about that. It's the first time I heard or saw that new feature, but it's interesting because I was just having a conversation about this exact thing. Like, what is market changes over time, and so you could think something's market 3 years later because the market has changed, especially in like the VC world. You think about that. What is market for a specific investment or type of investment shifts almost, like overnight, depending on the actual market environment. So that's really cool. You'll be able to see how you're comparing not just to what one lawyer says should be the thing, but how other contracts are actually ending up. So that's really, really cool. I will quickly jump into questions because I know we're pressed for time. So
I
let me
can
launch.
see too. I could take a stab at these questions in the
Yeah,
chat.
go for it. Go for it.
So the first question is about whether standards come exclusively from creators, or is there any ground truth within the tool? No ground truth within the tool generally. That ground truth might come from AI, but we found, you ask ChatGPT what matters in a contract or whether something should or shouldn't be there. You get very, very mixed results. So we're actually, firmly of the belief that you should trust the experts. So we should let the experts sort of opine on what the standards should be. Yes, laws only come in if creators explicitly reference them. Otherwise, we're not going out and, checking laws. Jeff asked, who is allowed to be a creator? Is there any vetting? Yes, today we're vetting internally. We have a pretty robust process to primarily sanity check that they're not crazy, but mostly to check that that the prompts are really well engineered so the AI is performing at high level accuracy. What we're really hoping for and where we're building towards is community ratings. So letting other people go in and say, hey, this was a 5-star playbook. I really like this. Leave comments, for the creator, for others to help users. So a little bit of user-generated content is the direction that we're going. Do I have time for one more question on A to J or?
Yep. Keep going.
Yes, we've explored A to J a ton. I really want to go here. Unfortunately, every creator we ever spoke to on the A to J side of the house was worried about UPL. And UPL has a chilling effect when you think about using this for consumers. So I'm on a committee with helping the Colorado Supreme Court right now think about how to update our own UPL rules here in Colorado. And we will make progress in Colorado that hopefully opens the door to make this less of an issue. But right now, UPL, despite all its good intent, UPL laws tend to actually, in my space, in this space, have a very chilling effect on our ability to deliver this service direct to consumers.
Access to justice. I had to do a little quick lookup for that one. Awesome. That is, well, I have one quick question, if you can answer it in 30 seconds or less. How should lawyers think about using this and contributing to the community of, like, how do they get involved? How do they create a screen themselves? And how should they think about it in terms of like business development and or just thought leadership?
Yeah, so go to screens.ai or email me, otto@termscout.com, if you want to learn more about creating one. The way you should think about this from a business development perspective is, if you're an expert in a particular field, in particular, if you're like in a small law firm, that's kind of the sweet spot that we're seeing. You want to insert yourself at our primary customer base is in-house legal teams. So, when an in-house legal team goes and uses Fatima's DPA screen, the hope is that we've got her contact